Hey guys, Scott here. Today I want to talk about patch 9.1.0, the Walking Dead patch, at least on the PTB. There are a huge amount of problems with it. I've already talked about the patch itself, so I'm not going to go into the specifics of why the patch is bad. I do want to go into a more deep-seated problem with it, and these are not things that are fixable by just reverting stuff before it goes to live. I know a lot of people might say, well, it's PTB. If it's bad, whatever, they'll have time to fix it or revert stuff. No, the problems that I have with this patch are systemic behavior problems, and that's why I think a simple reversion of a lot of these things is not going to fix anything. And the main problem is contradiction. Behavior seems to be lately heavily contradicting their own developer notes, their own goals for what they want the game to be. They will say, hey, here's a problem with the game, and here's how we're fixing the problem, and then the thing that fixes it makes the problem twice as bad. So they could not have failed more at fixing the problem that they were trying to do because they have just simply made it worse. And that is, I think, what we need to talk about. A lot of things being changed in patch 9.1.0 are things that are directly in opposition to what they have said they wanted to happen. And rather than speak in vagaries, let me just go into specifics for all these examples now. Clown's the first one I want to talk about. Clown is pretty much getting nerfed. I know there's a couple of people looking at it optimistically, but I feel like Clown is absolutely getting nerfed here. Maybe people that were not super good with the yellow bottles and stuff like that might see this as a buff, but that's more of a quality life for people that didn't know how to play him very much. Pretty much every Clown that knew how to play him considers this to be a nerf. It's just making his accessibility in using the yellow bottles a lot easier. Now, the thing is, in the developer notes, they explicitly said they want Clown to be more engaging to play. They want you to have to use both bottles, so they want the gameplay to be more interesting on both sides, so it's not a Clown just chucking purple gas and then not very exciting for Survivor or Killer, so they want to incentivize using both bottles. However, what they've done is just make it so the yellow bottles are even more brainless, so you just use the yellow bottles now. Before, the yellow bottles were actually the only skill cap Clown actually had because it was awkward. It had like an activation delay, so you had to aim it a certain distance in front of you. By the time you got to it, it would be active, but not too soon, or the survivor would benefit from it as well. So there was a little bit of a skills cap there where you needed to like perfectly aim it and, figure out what the delay is going to be before it becomes active. Now it activates so quickly that there's no gameplay anymore. You just throw that shit at your feet. No think, just throw bottle at feet, chase with 14% haste. That's it. There's no more thought to Clown at all anymore. That's why a lot of the, prominent Clown mains are upset about this, because it makes the skill ceiling just a foot off the ground now. It's nowhere now. You just throw yellow gas at your feet. There's no timing and delay anymore. You just instantly do it, and you were just chasing with 14% haste now, assuming you run the invigoration add-ons, which why wouldn't you at this point? So that, combined with the fact that Clown overall, though, is just weaker. The actual speed differential between having a purple bottle and a yellow bottle from then to now, it's less. There is, you would have a greater speed differential, which would be good for the Clown before this. They also gutted all of his strongest add-ons, Flask of Bleach, Cigar Box with the aura reading, like all of his best stuff has been neutered. So this is just not only a bad decision, but a net nerf to a killer that's not that great to begin with. But the whole point was they wanted to make the killer more engaging, have a higher skill ceiling, so it's not just very simple, brainless gameplay. And they somehow, with the yellow bottle buff and the activation delay and all that stuff, they have somehow made the killer even more brainless to play. There's no thought. You just throw a yellow bottle at your foot. You've got 14% haste. There's no thought. So that is, I think, what a lot of people are very frustrated about. They had one thing they wanted to do, said they were going to do it, and what they did made the complete opposite happen. Again, even if they revert this, that's fine. It's how did it get to this point to begin with? I cannot imagine you show this to a single consultant and went, oh yeah, no, this is great. They would go, no, well, I'm just going to use the yellow bottles only now. I don't have to think anymore. And then the behavior would go, oh, whoops, that's not what we wanted. And then they would do something else. But I don't know how we keep getting to this point where we need to give criticism and then you just have to revert it. It seems like wasted resource this time, and I thought that's what the consultants were going to fix, but it's clearly not doing anything. Another example, Night. The whole thing with Night is they wanted Night to be more interesting. They didn't want players to just do the pincer attack strategy where you basically just shit out a guard, send it one side, the Night player runs the other side, you meet in the middle and get a free hit. It's not exciting, it's not hard, it's just not fun for really anybody. It's not even fun for the Night, just getting a free hit because an NPC chased you in one direction. It's just boring. So they tried to fix that. And how did they try to fix that? By making that pincer attack playstyle the only viable thing you can do, because they made the banners so much longer for the other everything that's not Carnifex, that the macro plays anymore, where you would send out a guard to pressure someone off a gen or away from a save or whatever you were trying to do while you're chasing another guy. Those macro plays are irrelevant now, because if a guard begins chasing you, you run around a stick for 2 seconds and go grab the banner, and the guard has wasted more time summoning it than you have spent getting chased by it. So it's kind of in the scenario where they wanted to make the pincer attack playstyle less incentivized and incentivize more macro gameplay. And again, they have done the exact opposite by making the pincer attack the only thing you can do on Knight. I don't know how you fail so spectacularly at one simple thing, but they did the complete opposite of what they were supposed to do. And again, if you show this to any consultant with more than 500 hours in the game, they would say, don't do this. This is just going to make only one thing viable for the killer. You can't do that. And again, we'd be in a scenario where people wouldn't be freaking out. You would have not wasted development time, and we'd be in a much better spot. You wouldn't have to revert things. If you just spend all your effort doing things and then having to revert them, nothing gets done. You're just side grading everything forever. So it's really, really frustrating to see. Pyramid Head, another one. Doesn't make any sense. As an aside, Clown and Knight are not very strong killers. They needed, in my opinion, to be stronger. They need to be made more fun as well in some way. I don't know how you do that. Maybe you even need a rework or something, but they're not very strong killers. Pyramid Head, on the other hand, is a pretty damn good killer. He is very, very strong. He's a solid killer that can actually beat good teams. He's one of the few. And so they buffed Pyramid Head, but nerfed Knight and Clown. Like, this is not even the point of the video. That thing just blew my mind. It makes no sense. I don't understand their priorities. Anyway. Pyramid Head, their main issue was zoning. They didn't want people to do the free zoning thing where, I'm sure you've gone against Pyramid Heads before that don't even use their power. They just put their shit in the ground, chase you through a pallet, then just punch you. It's not very fun. It's just like, okay, I guess I lost the 50-50 because he didn't actually use his power and it was just going to hit me. Yay. Like, it's not very engaging gameplay. It's not like overpowered or anything like that. It's just not very fun. So I commend them for wanting to, fix that style of gameplay because it's not very interesting. And so their attempt at that was making you move 4.2 instead of 4.4 meters a second. So that's going from 110 to 105%, like basically Huntress to like Scratch Me or Myers, basically. Which, is a thing, but I used it a bunch on the PTB and I couldn't really notice it because you don't hold your power for like 40 seconds. Yeah, at a 5% speed differential at that duration, yeah, you're going to notice you're going to notice the speed. But if you're just popping it down for a second or two every once in a while, you don't even notice a 5% speed loss. You only notice that over extended periods of time. If it's a very short period of time, it's very hard to notice a difference. Even with that, though, they made it so you can actually hold your power for much, much longer. There's add-ons that make you able to hold it even longer than that. And then here's the kicker. There are add-ons that benefit the zoning gameplay. There are add-ons that give you a mini enduring effect, so you are stunned for less time if you're hit by a pallet while holding your power down. Even if they make that add-on useless, it shows that their core design is at odds with itself because that is a perk that only benefits people that try to walk through pallets holding their power instead of just shooting it and trying to hit people through walls. That is the exact thing they're trying to stop, and they created an add-on for it. The coup de grace, though, is the new iridescent add-on that just lets you break pallets at a distance with the Punishment of the Damned. So you don't even have to play Pyramid Head anymore. Now the correct play is have a pallet get dropped, rotate around it once, and try to hit the guy through the wall through a pallet. If you miss the guy, okay, you broke the pallet. Now he's zoned. If you hit the guy, great, you hit the guy. It's like no matter what you do, it puts the Pyramid Head in a winning scenario. If you're in a corner or something like that, and you're zoned, you're going to get hit no matter what you do. And again, even if these things end up not being super strong or busted or whatever, the point is the design space is directly at odds with what they're trying to do. They have said they don't want their zoning thing to be a primary feature of the killer, so they're trying to de-incentivize that, and then they add things that support exactly that. This is the whole point of my video. They keep saying things and then doing the opposite of those things. And it's so frustrating to see that. Again, another example. I could get a million of these from this patch. They want solo queue to be more enjoyable. They want solo queue to be made easier and not necessarily buff Survive with Friends. And yet, the perks that have come out with this chapter, a lot of them only work with communication and Survive with Friends. There's a couple of teamwork perks, which good luck making that work in solo queue. The Vault Window Stun perk, good luck making that work in solo queue. Like, half the shit they released only works when you're communicating with people when they're trying to make solo queue easier. Like, it doesn't. Everything they're doing lately is incredibly frustrating. And again, even if they revert all these things, I'm still going to be frustrated that it got to the point to begin with. Because if they talk to a single person with, more than 500 hours in the game, they would be able to tell you that these things are going to be problematic very quickly. Within 5 games of testing any of these things, you would see all of these problems. And I just don't know how this keeps happening. I thought when I saw the consultant thing, I thought, okay, finally, we're going to have some people with some hours that I know and that I trust that are going to be given some good feedback before they waste resources on doing it. Apparently, it's not doing anything. They're just still making the same mistakes. And now they're going to have to spend all this time just reverting a lot of the shit they spent time on to begin with, which is terrible. So that is my main frustration with this patch. I'm not even talking about the balance of the patch, by the way. I am worried about a lot of things for the killer side. I've been like kind of biased towards Survivor the past few months. My bias has changed depending on whatever the meta is. But it's been a few months where I've been mostly happy as Killer. I feel like that I'm about to switch back to Killer again because a lot of these changes that are being made are very scary. I am scared I'm not going to have a counter for foreign medkits anymore. Buffing built to last was nonsensical. There's a lot of stuff I'm worried about on the Killer side now. So expect to see a killer bias shift in me probably in the next couple months if a lot of this stuff changes. But yeah, overall, very frustrating. They missed a lot more than they hit here. So yeah, kind of a disappointing patch. We'll see what they do in terms of fixing it from PTB to live. But yeah, not great.